One thing I'm gonna ask you, you know you ain't got to answer if you don't want. I seen you do an interview, you say you don't like talk about white men now. Why is that?
White men out. Black meat, yeah, I'm on. Play with me, I bust your dome. Aiden milk so grown, you can go. White men out.
I don't like talking about it?
Yeah.
Cause that 20 years old, bro.
Okay.
That old, bro.
Just left New York City, hooked up with me. Finna blow past 50, you gon' have white men out.
I'm gonna put it on your platform. I was came to with a proposition with this song, you heard?
Like green, like yellow, like. Cause I'm on white men out. Cause I'm on white men out. Cause I'm on white men out.
I had the hottest song in the city. Boosie was coming out with a project under Startling Records and he needed a singer.
P-E-N-D-E-N-T. Let's go look what that man. She got her own house. She got her own car.
I said that 50 times. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But
charge, work hard, you a bad broad. If you ain't all set out, if you ain't all set out.
Never wanted to be a rapper. This is the easiest job in the world. Getting paid to do some shit you was probably gonna do that weekend anyway.
He gave us one of the most unforgettable hooks in Southern rap history, but most people don't even know his name. You've heard the anthem, Wipe Me Down. It's been blasted at clubs, house parties, college campuses, and radio stations for nearly 2 decades. It's a cultural marker, a moment in time. And behind that moment, behind that voice, was a Baton Rouge artist named Foxx. But here's the real question. Why didn't he blow up? While his label mates Lil Boosie and Webbie climbed the charts and gained nationwide fame, Foxx quietly faded into the background. Despite being the creative force behind the hook that made Wipe Me Down legendary, he never got the shine, the deals, or the career he arguably earned. Was it label politics? A branding failure? Or was Foxx simply never meant to be a solo star? This is more than a rap story. It's a tale of being essential but invisible, of having the voice that moved a generation, without the spotlight to follow. This is the untold story of Foxx, and the startling truth behind how he went from the front of the anthem to the back of the memory. Born Jonathan Reed in 1983, Foxx, also known as Foxx Alien, came up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a city known for its raw energy, hard truths, and unapologetic street culture. He emerged during a golden window in the South when Baton Rouge rap was finding its voice, powered by pain, pride, and gritty storytelling. Foxx wasn't just another local trying to make noise. He had a presence. He brought charisma to the mic, a sharp ear for melody, and a knack for catchy hooks that stuck in your head. While other rappers tried to copy Atlanta or Houston, Foxx leaned into Baton Rouge's unfiltered style. He didn't need to mimic the mainstream. His voice was the vibe. He linked with Trill Entertainment, a rising independent label making waves throughout the South. It was the perfect fit. Trill was building a roster that would shape the future of Southern hip-hop, and Foxx had the raw tools to be one of its pillars. At a time when Southern rap was exploding, with Boosie, Webbie, and others leading the charge, Foxx was right there. He wasn't in the shadow, not yet. His moment was coming, and it would be huge. In the mid-2000s, Baton Rouge wasn't just making noise, it was booming. At the heart of this explosion was Trill Entertainment, a gritty, no-frills label that gave the streets a voice and the world a taste of what real Southern rap sounded like. Trill wasn't flashy like Cash Money or as polished as T.I.'s Grand Hustle. It was raw, regional, and real. Powered by Lil Boosie and Webbie, Trill crafted anthems that reflected Southern struggle, pride, and pain. Their lyrics were soaked in survival, and their beats were addictive. This wasn't music for the mainstream, it was for people living what they rapped about. And that authenticity made it powerful. In 2007, the label struck cultural gold with the Wipe Me Down remix, a track that didn't just chart, it exploded. It became an instant classic, spreading from Baton Rouge to college parties across the nation. Suddenly, the world was looking at Trill Ent, and Baton Rouge had its moment. Foxx was right in the middle of it. He wasn't just part of the team, he was the hook, the vibe, the voice that made the movement stick. But even in this moment of triumph, cracks were forming. When Wipe Me Down remix dropped in 2007, it didn't just make waves, it became a movement. The beat was hypnotic, the verses iconic, but the real glue was the hook, delivered with swagger, precision, and undeniable energy by Foxx. Shoulders, chest, pants, shoes. That line became a cultural chant. From nightclubs to college step shows, people weren't just singing it, they were performing it. The song crossed from street anthem to viral phenomenon before viral was even a thing. Foxx didn't just appear on the song, he crafted its identity. He wrote and performed the original version before Boosie and Webbie were even on the track. Without Foxx's hook, Wipe Me Down doesn't work. Period. But as the track exploded, so did the attention, and it didn't all land on him. Boosie and Webbie, who added high-energy verses for the remix, were already better known and had the label's full support. They rode the wave straight into national stardom. Foxx, meanwhile, found himself in a strange place, the centerpiece of the moment, but treated like a feature. His breakout hit became both a blessing and the beginning of his career's ceiling. Wipe Me Down was everywhere, but as the record broke out, the industry and fans started asking the wrong question. Is this Boosie's song or Webbie's? Rarely did anyone mention the name Foxx. It's a harsh reality in music, especially hip-hop, that hooks make the hit, but verses get the credit. Foxx didn't have the marquee name, so even though his voice carried the track, the spotlight drifted elsewhere. His contribution was labeled a feature, even though it was foundational. Label marketing didn't help. Trill Entertainment pushed Boosie and Webbie hard. They had solo albums, interviews, videos, and national visibility. Foxx, he was the guy who made the hook catchy, a supporting character in his own breakout moment. To make it worse, Wipe Me Down became Boosie's signature anthem in pop culture. It was used in his shows, his documentaries, even his promotional materials. For many, the track is inseparable from Boosie, even though Foxx wrote and recorded it first. The music industry thrives on image and momentum, and while Boosie and Webbie were being framed as stars, Foxx was unintentionally framed as background noise. That wasn't just unfair, it was career-defining. In 2008, Foxx dropped his debut solo album, Street Gossip, under Trill Entertainment. This was supposed to be his moment, a chance to prove he was more than just a hook guy, more than a supporting player. But things didn't go the way anyone hoped. The album was solid. It featured appearances from Boosie and Webbie, of course, and had that signature Trill sound, heavy drums, bounce energy, real street talk. But it lacked one thing, a breakout single. There was no follow-up anthem. Nothing that could even touch the buzz of Wipe Me Down. Without that one sticky, chart-ready record, Street Gossip fell into the background noise of regional rap releases. It didn't flop, but it didn't elevate him either. Part of the problem? Boosie and Webbie were still front and center, even on his solo album. Fans couldn't figure out what made Foxx unique. Was he the party starter? The street poet? The hook specialist? The project didn't answer that. Instead of launching his solo identity, Street Gossip felt like an extension of someone else's story. And in the music industry, if you don't define your lane, someone else will do it for you. Talent wasn't Foxx's issue. He had bars. He had a presence. He had one of the most recognizable hooks of the 2000s. But what he lacked, and what ultimately held him back, was branding. Boosie had pain and rawness. Webbie had wild charisma and a bold personality. But Foxx? He didn't have a fully defined identity that fans could instantly latch onto. Was he a party rapper? A street poet? A hook master? The industry never got a clear answer. And in the rap game, identity is everything. You need a lane, a visual style, a message, a persona. Foxx had the voice, but not the brand. His visuals weren't distinct. His interviews were limited. His image felt more like a supporting act than a solo threat. Part of it wasn't his fault. Trill didn't position him as a priority. But part of it also came down to the reality that having talent isn't enough, especially in the era of personality-driven rap. In the eyes of fans, Foxx became that guy from the hook. And once that tag sticks, it's hard to shake it, no matter how strong your pen is. Without a brand, momentum disappears fast. Foxx's journey wasn't just shaped by image, it was shaped by infrastructure. Trill Entertainment had heart, hustle, and serious street respect, but it didn't have the national machine that powerhouse cities like Atlanta, Houston, or Miami had already perfected. Trill operated like a major label in spirit, but in reality, it was still independent. There was no robust radio network, no extensive media outreach, and no strategic rollouts. That formula worked fine for Boosie and Webbie. Their personalities were already larger than life. But for Foxx, who needed that extra push to shape his identity, the machine simply wasn't built. Inside the label, there was an unspoken pecking order. Boosie was the franchise player, Webbie was the wild card, and Foxx, he was the utility guy. That's how the fans saw it, how the media framed it, and ultimately how the label treated it. The consequence? No big-budget videos, no high-profile remixes, no long-term rollout plan, just flashes of potential, followed by silence. Foxx wasn't blackballed, he wasn't shelved, but in an industry that runs on attention, being quietly overlooked can be just as career-killing. Sometimes being second priority means being forgotten altogether. After Wipe Me Down and Street Gossip, fans waited for the next move, but it never really came. Months passed, then years. No follow-up album, no breakout single, no defining moment, just features, mixtape leaks, and the occasional guest appearance. In music, especially hip-hop, momentum is everything. You only get so many windows to strike, and Foxx's window closed quietly. While Boosie and Webbie dropped new music, toured, and evolved their brands, Foxx seemed to vanish from the spotlight. Some of it was label politics. Some of it was poor management, but some of it was timing. The music scene was shifting fast, with Atlanta dominating the airwaves and new internet platforms like YouTube and DatPiff reshaping how artists connected with fans. Foxx didn't adapt. Or maybe he wasn't given the tools to. Either way, the silence grew louder. By the time most fans heard from him again, the moment had passed. The industry had moved on, and tragically, so had many listeners. He wasn't forgotten, not completely. But the momentum he once had, the buzz, the energy, it had been drained. Slowly, quietly, until all that was left was the echo of a hook. Foxx may not have built a legendary solo catalog. He may not have had the tours, the awards, or the headlines. But his voice, that unmistakable chant, lives on. Wipe Me Down is more than a song. It's a cultural artifact. It gets played at weddings, step shows, sports arenas, and frat parties to this day. And at the center of that anthem is Foxx's voice, cutting through the beat, demanding attention. Even if people don't know his name, they know his sound. And in hip-hop, that's a rare kind of immortality. Few artists ever make something that sticks, something that becomes timeless. Foxx did. He's become a symbol of something bigger, the reality that talent alone isn't always enough. That timing, branding, and label politics can shape or sabotage a career. That you can help define a moment and still be left behind by it. But Foxx's story isn't just one of what could have been, it's a reminder. A reminder that impact isn't always about longevity. Sometimes it's about one moment that never fades. He may not be at the top of the charts, but Foxx is forever etched in hip-hop history.